75th anniversary. Please address.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The guest of honor, Honorable Sajjad Rashid, Chairman of the Federation of Khoja Shiite National Jamaat of Africa, Alhajj Muhammad Bhai Durrani, Chairman of Khoja Shiite National Jamaat of Mombasa, Alhajj Hussain Bhai Walji, Chairman of the Trust Board, Alhajj Muhammad Jaffery Bhai Khaki, Maulana Sahib, distinguished guests and gentlemen, Salamun Alaikum. I am privileged and honored to welcome you all to this Founders Gala dinner organized to mark the 75th anniversary of Jaffery Sports Club. Gentlemen, before I proceed further, allow me a minute to introduce members of my committee and the trustees of the club. Without their support, the responsibility entrusted to me may not have been fulfilled. I wish to thank you all, my colleagues, for the excellent support, commitment and dedication during my tenure of office. The managing committee comprises of Mr. Shaukat Daya, the Vice Chairman. Give him a big hand, please. Let's make it lively. Murtaza Kasmali, Honorary Secretary. Amir Jaffery Merali, Honorary Treasurer. Riaz Virji, Honorary Sports Secretary. Rajbali Bandali. Abbas H.M. Nasser, the Master of Ceremony tonight. Kasmali Jagani. Ghulam Kaku. Hussain Muhammad Jafar Khaki. Salim Ballu and Riaz Fazal. Thank you. The Trust Board is led by none other than Alhajj Jafar Bhai Khaki, Abdul Razak Molu, Amir Kasmali, Mahmood Jafar Ali Karim, and myself being the chairman of the club. Gentlemen, our chief guest for tonight's function is none other than Honorable Sajjad Rashid. The fact that he is known to one and all makes my task easier, for I do not have to introduce him. Besides being a daunting task, I rather fear I may miss out relevant and important aspects of Honorable Sajjad's life and in the process not do justice to this eminent personality. Suffice is to say that our chief guest is a highly successful businessman, a respected civic leader, and a humane individual. Honorable Sajjad, as the chairman of the club, I welcome you to this function and wish to thank you for acceding to our request for you to be the guest of honor tonight. Gentlemen, I would also be failing in my duty if I were not to extend a very warm karibu to the chairman of the Federation of Khoja Shiite National Jamaat of Africa, Alhajj Muhammad Bhai Durrani, who has come to Mombasa especially for tonight's function. We are gathered today to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the club. It is therefore opportune that I recount salient features of the club's history. The club has been in existence at the present site since 1925. However, it was formally established in 1921 on that piece of land on which now stands the Life Insurance Corporation building. Prior to that, the then youths of the community played cricket and football at 3 different sites. The first was our cemetery. The second was the Buxton School ground, next to the Ambalal House. And the third was where now stands the Lotus House. It was in 1921 that the need for uniting all the tentacles under the umbrella was felt. 4 members of the community, namely late Haji Habib Abdullah Jan Muhammad, led Mullah Hassan Ali, Ghulam Hussain Khaki, led Haji Hussain Karim Hirji, and the late Haji Abdullah Ali Muhammad Khalfan conceived the idea on the then Itnashiri Sports Club and united the sportsmen of the community under one banner. What we see today is the result of the four founding fathers' vision and is effectively a tribute to them. The move to the present site took place in 1925. Being a very rocky area, a lot of effort was required in converting the land into the playing field. In the same year, a pavilion in the form of a banda was put up at the cost of shillings 1,500. It might be interesting to you gentlemen to note that the stones removed from the playing area were used in the construction of many a building in Mombasa. Two of these are the building owned by Haji Mahmood M. Jaffery on Nyeri Street and the godown which houses Musa stores owned by Aghali family. The first solid pavilion came up in 1930. The whole project cost was 10,000 shillings, a princely sum in those days. It was during the same period that the first comprehensive constitution was drafted in Gujarati by Marhum Mamdali Dala, then honorary secretary of the club. Come 1936, the club took another step. 2 tennis courts were constructed where you are sitting at a cost of 3,200 shillings. The first donor towards this project was late G.A. Datu. Between 1939 and 44, the club remained closed as this was the period of the Second World War and the whole of this area was used as the cantonment by the then colonial government. After the conclusion of the war, the club started with activities, bubbling activities once again. This has continued unabated to date. Gentlemen, when the club came into existence in 1921, late Haji Qasim Ali Merali became the first chairman. A glance through the role of the chairman reflects the caliber of people who have headed this institution. At this juncture, I wish to record that in our midst today is Alhajj Ali Muhammad Jaffery, who was the chairman of the club in 1943 and 44. Over 50 years ago, we are indeed very proud to have him with us tonight as the past chairman, and we wish him well. At this juncture, I wish to note one more aspect of the club, which the membership can justifiably be proud of. While the National Sports Club in Zanzibar had been established prior to the establishment of the club in Mombasa, we can claim to be the longest surviving club of Khoja Shia Ethnashi worldwide, and that too in such a superb and glorious manner. The management of any institution has two primary functions. Firstly, it is expected to provide a climate necessary for the institution activities to take place. Secondly, to effect a planned and far-sighted development of the institution. History will bear witness to the fact that on both fronts, successive managements of the club have been highly successful. History will also testify that successive managements upheld the aims and objectives of the club and guided the institution successfully and wisely through its various phases of development. I wish to take this opportunity to salute all my predecessors and their respective teams for their dedication and commitment. I would like again to request you to give a hand to our past chairman. Has continued at a steady pace. What we see today is the result of 75 years' effort. I would like to believe that this will continue at a similar pace, if not faster, so that when the club membership gathers in 25 years' time to celebrate the centenary, it will be able to express similar sentiments. Gentlemen, I seek your indulgence to digress a little at this point. I wish to direct a few comments to the younger members of this august institution. The club's glorious history is a heritage we are passing on to you. Not only is this for safe custody, but also for you to aid appropriately and pass on the generations after you. All sports demand discipline from a player. My advice to you is to achieve a high level of discipline and then jealously guard it in order that you may not only manage the affairs of the club appropriately when the time comes, but also become beacons for the future generations to follow. This is a responsibility you must shoulder, for not only do you have to keep the Jaffery flag flying high, but also create an example for future generations to emulate. The future of this club rests with you, and we are placing our confidence on you. I said earlier that one of the primary functions of any management is to create a climate necessary for its activities. The club's activities are the games being played. The very fact that since establishment, the club sportsmen have brought glory to the institution lends credence to my contention that successive managements have been successful in creating a conducive climate at the club. Magnificent trophies that are on display in the clubhouse provide the proof, if any was required. This club has produced some brilliant sportsmen, and some of them are here tonight. However, the one aspect which is most commendable has been the selfless love and affection these sportsmen have had for the institution they have represented. This in itself is a matter of pride, for it has resulted in glory accruing to the club. I know of no institution which would not be proud of such a membership. I wish now to turn to the present, the 75th celebration. A lot of thought was given to the question of how to celebrate the momentous occasion. Views of the membership were also sought. The managing committee decided, after a lot of deliberations, on a dignified and low-key approach. It was obvious that being a sporting organization, the bulk of the activities would be sports-oriented. To this end, a three approach was adopted. Firstly, a series of matches were organized. All the matches turned out to be superb affairs, but more important was the spirit of kingship displayed by the veterans. Secondly, in line with the committee's established philosophy of maintaining cordial relationship with other clubs, a six-a-side cricket tournament was held on 22nd December. The club is grateful to all cricket-playing clubs in Mombasa for having acceded to our invitation and participating in the tournament. We thank these clubs for joining in our festivities. Another event organized as part of the celebration was the Children's Day on 28 December. The afternoon turned out to be a magnificent affair, and the fact that all the young ones enjoyed made our day. The event was sponsored by Honorable Sajjad Rashid and MS Bawazir Group of Companies, and among the honored guests that afternoon was the President of the World Federation, Alhajj Aunali Kanji. While tonight's function is the ultimate celebratory event, I feel the cricket match this afternoon was not less important. Veteran cricketers from Mombasa and other towns participated in a match which was a joy to watch, and it was a close affair. If I may dare say, some of the veterans are still capable of giving the younger generation a run for their money. While all these events were being organized, the committee felt that a meaningful act was called for. To this end, I am delighted to advise that while on one hand the committee has earmarked a sum of shillings 200,000 for utilization towards youth welfare fund of the club, on the other hand, it has also been decided to make contribution towards two charitable institutions, namely Likoni School for the Blind, Shimolatewa Boston Institute for Children, where Mrs. Kairun Bai Molu is actively involved. While the modalities for the Youth Welfare Fund are being worked out, I would request our Chief Guest to present these two donations to the respective representatives. We are cognizant of our duty as citizens of this country, and the donation represents our willingness to contribute towards the welfare of the less fortunate. We have with us, gentlemen, here, Mr. Masum Jin, the headmaster of Likoni School for the Blind. So I request him to come forward and request our chief guest to present this donation to Mr. Masum. Molu to come forward and receive this donation so that he can pass on to Mrs. Karunbai. Thank you. Also publish a booklet to mark the occasion. Later tonight, we shall see the launching and distribution of this booklet, which inter alia contains a fairly detailed history of this august institution. At this juncture, I wish to record our sincere appreciation to the subcommittee that has put together this commemorative publication. Gentlemen, I wish to recognize their splendid efforts, and I would request Mr. Riaz Fazal, who headed this team, to please be upstanding so that everybody can see you. Mr. Mohammed Jaffery, you see him there. Thank you. Great job. And we have Qayyam Mehdi Kasmali. Is where to now? By way of yardstick to be undertaken. These may be called the short-term projects. One of the most important tasks handled in recent years was that appertaining the lease. The club's records show that through the untiring efforts of Alhaj Sultan Molu and Alhaj Naushad Jiva, the yearly lease was converted into a 50-year lease in June 1991. While I am sure the committee in office at that time expressed the club's gratitude, I wish to reiterate the sense of appreciation to the two gentlemen. Please give them a big hand. And thank you. At this point, I would also like to record the fact that in early 1970, a very sizable portion of our playing field was nearly lost. But for the efforts of Alhaj Muhammad Jafar Panju and Alhaj Hussain Merali, we would not have had adequate area for our activities. The club is extremely grateful to these two gentlemen also. You will, gentlemen, no doubt recognize the fact that there is room for further improvement in the task accomplished in 1991. I feel that the club must now endeavor to at least obtain an increase in the life of the lease to 99 years. I therefore am of the opinion that this must be in itself a project for priority handling, and I am confident that with a little of effort, we could well see its accomplishment in the near future. Secondly, we require a tough wicket if we were to see an improvement in our cricket standard. We are well aware of the fact that a natural tough wicket is not possible. We do, however, have an alternative in the form of astro-tough wicket. This is highly recommended. Thirdly, certain of our ground are highly infested. Treating these areas and having water sprinklers is not going to be easy or cheap. The fact of the matter, however, is that it has to be done, and pretty soon. Fourthly, there is one facility which needs to be provided for the members, and that is accommodation for table tennis. For obvious reasons, the tables have to be removed from the club house. However, considering the interest this game generates, it would be worthwhile looking at alternative avenues. Perhaps finance permitting, table tennis could be combined with a health center under purpose-built accommodation. We also need to tarmac the road from the main entrance to the parking area. We bank on the community to support these projects. I am, however, of the opinion that the project that needs concentration and urgent implementation is making the club financially self-sufficient. At the same time, recognizing this, I would like to caution that this self-sufficiency must be based on a well-thought-of plan and take into consideration all the potential ramifications. Suffice it to say that we need to improve the long-term financial health of this institution, albeit fully recognizing the limitation and constraints. I am sure the membership would give its total support to a plan that is visionary, fair, and comprehensive. There is no doubt that this is a gigantic task, but with the effort and planning and the support of the benevolent membership, the goal is achievable. Gentlemen, if we can achieve financial self-sufficiency at the club, the planned development we have experienced upon now can be sustained, if not hastened. If under trying circumstances we have managed a fairly balanced development, freedom from restraining factors will certainly make development easier. This responsibility does not lie on the management or the chairman. This lies on the entire membership, individually, collectively, as a team, for this is the future where we want our children to enjoy, to make the best out of their time, and it is the responsibility of every membership, and we must pull all available resources to achieve this. As a long-term projection, I feel we should have a well-equipped and maintained facility able to cater for all sporting needs for its membership. If history is anything to go by, I would say it is certainly attainable. In September 1996, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, His Excellency Hujjatul Islam Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, paid a visit to the club during his state visit to Kenya. On that occasion, the club invited His Excellency to become honorary patron of this institution, which was accepted. Simultaneously, the managing committee also sought the general body's approval and conferred honorary patronship posthumously on the late Hujjatul Islam Sayyid Aka Haidar Zaidi Sahib. For want of an appropriate occasion, no formal communication was sent to the late Maulana Sahib's family. My committee and I feel that this communication be formally sent today, and I would like to request Mr. Gulambas Daya to receive this letter from our chief guest, Mr. Gulambas Daya. Distinguished guests and gentlemen, I now wish to conclude. My delight knows no bounds at seeing such a large turnout. We can together wish this august institution a very happy future. We can together wish this august institution a very happy future, and we can together pray for its success. May the Almighty bless the club with more glory and honor. May the Almighty bless its membership, which loves the institution so much. May the benevolence of the club's benefactors continue to support the club in its endeavors. May our shining youths continue to support the club with total dedication. My chief guest, Mr. Chief Guest, gentlemen, I thank you for bearing with me, and before I take my seat, I have a pleasant duty to perform. We would like our chief guest and the chairman of Africa Federation to remember this very special function, and to this end I request Honorable Sajjad Rashid and Mohammad Bhai Dirani to accept a small token from the club. Thank you.
अब एक्सरसाइज कराएगा।
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.